Americans oppose tactics ICE is using to enforce immigration laws by 21 margin poll. Over half of Americans angry or upset over immigration enforcement in MN. In the weeks after federal agents killed 2 U.S. citizens in Minnesota during a surge to apprehend undocumented immigrants for deportation, Americans oppose immigration and customs enforcement tactics by wide margins, and President Donald Trump's approval on immigration has dipped to the lowest of his second term, according to an ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll conducted using Ipsos KnowledgePanel. Trump's immigration rating hits new low for second-term. Trump, who has focused much of his second term on the immigration crackdown, is now 18 percentage points underwater in how Americans rate his handling of immigration, with 58 disapproving and 40 approving, the worst ratings he has had on immigration in his second term, ticking down from his October ratings and almost exactly where he was in July 2019, when 40 approved and 57 disapproved of how he was handling the issue. Despite his increasingly negative ratings on handling immigration since taking office, Americans don't trust Democrats to handle the issue more. When asked who they trust to do a better job handling immigration, 38 say they trust Trump more, 34 trust Congressional Democrats more, and 24 trust neither. Congressional Democrats are demanding a range of new restrictions on immigration enforcement amid a Department of Homeland Security funding spat and partial government shutdown. The White House and Democrats are still at odds, with White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt on Wednesday calling the Democrats' latest move in the negotiations very unserious. And even though he's underwater on handling immigration overall, Trump's ratings on handling the immigration situation at the U.S. Mexico border are a bit better, albeit still slightly negative, with 47 of Americans approving of how he is handling the situation at the border and 50 disapproving. Americans are roughly split over whether the federal government should deport all undocumented immigrants living in the United States, but a growing share oppose expanded ICE operations, and by a 2-to-1 margin, they oppose ICE's tactics. The results come following the fatal shooting of Alex Pretti, an ICU nurse, by federal agents in Minneapolis on January 24, just weeks after the fatal shooting of Renee Good, a mother of 3, by an ICE agent in Minneapolis on January 7. Half 50 of Americans support the federal government deporting the about 14 million undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. and sending them back to their home countries, while 48 oppose this. Support was even higher for deporting all undocumented immigrants ahead of the 2024 presidential election, when 56 of Americans supported sending all undocumented immigrants to their home countries. By last February that dipped to 51. Most Hispanic 64, Black 58, and Asian and Pacific Islander Americans 56 oppose deporting all undocumented immigrants, while 58 of white people support widespread deportation. Even if many Americans want mass deportations, 58 say Trump is going too far in deporting undocumented immigrants, up from 50 who said the same in October. Just 12 say he is not going far enough, and 28 say he is handling it about right. 7 in 10 Americans do not think most immigrants deported since January 2025 were violent criminals, including 33 who say hardly any of those deported were. Only 7 of Americans say nearly all of the immigrants who were deported since the beginning of the Trump administration were violent criminals. A slim majority of Americans oppose ICE's expanded operations to detain and deport undocumented immigrants in the U.S., 53 now, up from 46 in October. Opinion breaks down on partisan lines, with 88 of Democrats opposed to ICE's expanded operations and 81 of Republicans in support. A 56 majority of independents oppose ICE's expanded operations. By a 2-to-1 margin, Americans oppose the tactics ICE is using to enforce immigration laws, 62 to 31. Half of Americans strongly oppose ICE's tactics, including 89 of Democrats and 53 of independents. Only 4 in 10 Republicans strongly support the tactics ICE is using to enforce immigration law, rising to over half among MAGA Republicans and Republican-leaning independents who call themselves MAGA. By a 13-point margin, Americans oppose abolishing ICE, 50 to 37. Opinions are polarized. 7 in 10 Democrats support abolishing ICE, while 8 in 10 Republicans oppose it. More independents oppose abolishing ICE 45 than support abolishing ICE 35, with 2 in 10 independents saying they have no opinion on the issue. ICE was established in 2003 as part of the Homeland Security Act following the September 11, 2001, attacks. Previously, the Immigration and Naturalization Service under the Justice Department administered immigration laws. The Abolish ICE political movement gained national attention in 2018 during the previous Trump administration's family separation policy. An ICE memo issued in May gave federal agents the authority to enter the homes of people suspected of being in the U.S. illegally without warrants signed by judges. A wide majority of Americans, including majorities across party lines, say that when federal law enforcement wants to forcibly enter someone's home, they need to get approval from a judge. Just 20 say getting approval from a federal agency is enough. How Americans feel about Minnesota and personal impacts. Most Americans, 54, say T.